Sarah Chun wiped sweat from her forehead as she picked the last apple from the tall tree. The morning sun felt warm on her back through the thin cotton shirt. Below her, on the soft grass, her 8-year-old daughter Emma was making flower chains from the white blossoms that had fallen during the night. "Mama, look!" Emma held up a crown made of apple flowers. "I made this for you." Sarah climbed down the ladder and knelt beside her daughter. The flower crown was crooked and had gaps, but it was perfect. She let Emma place it on her head. "Now you look like a queen," Emma said with a big smile. "Then you must be the princess," Sarah said, tickling Emma's nose with a fallen blossom dot. This was the life Sarah had dreamed of during all those years in the Earth Defense Force. Back then, she had spent months in space, fighting pirates and protecting trade ships. The metal walls of warships had been her home. The sound of weapons charging had been her alarm clock. But that was 10 years ago. Now she was a farmer on Terra Verde, the most peaceful world humans had ever built. Terra Verde was different from other human colonies. People came here to escape war and violence. They grew food using old methods, with their hands in the soil instead of machines doing all the work. When people disagreed, they sat in circles and talked until they found answers. Children played in fields instead of training for fights they might never face. Sarah had been one of the first to settle here. She was tired of war, tired of always being ready to kill or be killed. When Emma was born, Sarah knew she had made the right choice. Her daughter would grow up seeing flowers instead of weapon ports, hearing bird songs instead of engine noise. "Mama, when will Papa come home?" Emma asked as they walked back to their small house. "Next week," Sarah said. "He had to take the grain to the trading post." "But he promised to bring you something special." Emma clapped her hands. "I hope it's a new book." Mrs. Peterson said there might be stories about dragons in the next shipment. Their house was simple but comfortable. Sarah's husband Tom had built it with wood from the local trees. It had 3 rooms, a kitchen with a stone fireplace, and windows that looked out over their apple orchard. Emma's drawings covered one wall of the main room. Most of them showed their family working in the gardens or having picnics under the trees. Sarah was making lunch when the communication device beeped. She frowned. Very few people called during the day. Most colonists were too busy working to spend time on long-distance talks. The screen showed the face of Mayor Williams. He looked worried, which was strange. Mayor Williams never looked worried about anything. "Sarah, I need you to come to the town hall right away," he said. "Bring Emma." "What's wrong?" Sarah asked. "Just come, please, and Sarah, you might want to bring your old military gear." The communication ended. Sarah stared at the blank screen. Why would she need her military gear? She had put it away years ago, hoping never to touch it again. "Mama, is something wrong?" Emma asked from the kitchen table. "No, sweetheart, we just need to go to town for a little while." Sarah went to the back room and opened an old metal box she kept under the bed. Inside was her military uniform, her weapon, and her communication equipment from her days as a captain. She had not opened this box in 5 years. The uniform still smelled like the cleaning chemicals they used on spaceships. She put the weapon in her belt under her shirt. Emma did not need to see it. The walk to town usually took 20 minutes, but today it felt longer. Other families were walking the same way, all looking confused and worried. Sarah saw other former military people, and they all had the same look in their eyes. They knew something bad was coming. The town hall was packed. All 500 colonists seemed to be there, sitting on chairs or standing against the walls. Mayor Williams stood at the front with Dr. Patel, who ran the communication center. "Friends," Mayor Williams said, and the room became quiet. "We have received a message from space. Dr. Patel will explain." Dr. Patel was a small, thin man who usually smiled a lot. Today he was not smiling. He touched a button, and a voice filled the room. The voice was strange, with clicks and hisses that hurt to hear. "Humans of Terra Verde," the voice said, "you will surrender your world to the hegemony. You have 1 day to prepare tribute. Food, metals, and workers. Resistance will result in elimination. Compliance will result in protection. The room was silent for a long moment. Then people started talking all at once, asking questions and making scared noises. What does that mean? Someone shouted. Who are these hegemony people? Asked another voice. They're aliens, Dr. Patel said. We detected their ships 3 hours ago, big ships, military ships. They're demanding that we give them whatever they want, or they'll attack us. Sarah felt Emma grab her hand. Mama, I'm scared. It's okay, baby, Sarah said, but her own heart was beating fast. Mayor Williams raised his hands for quiet. We need to make a decision as a community. Do we fight, or do we try to negotiate? We're peaceful people, said Mrs. Chun, the school teacher. We don't fight. We've never fought. That's why we came here. Maybe we can talk to them, suggested Mr. Rodriguez, who ran the general store. Explain that we're not a threat to anyone. Maybe they'll leave us alone. Sarah stood up. Everyone looked at her. They knew she had been military and they respected her opinion on matters of war. I've dealt with pirates and raiders, she said. People who demand tribute and threaten violence, they usually aren't interested in talking. But we should try. It's worth trying, most people nodded. This was the Terra Verde way. Try peace first. Try talking first. Dr. Patel sent a message to the alien ships. He explained that Terra Verde was a peaceful colony that wanted no trouble. He offered to meet with them and discuss their needs. The answer came back in 5 minutes. Your words are irrelevant, prepare tribute, or face elimination. You have 20 hours. That night, Sarah could not sleep. She sat by Emma's bed, watching her daughter sleep peacefully. Emma's face looked so calm, so innocent. Sarah remembered all the reasons. She had left the military. She had wanted to give Emma a childhood without fear, without violence, but now violence had found them anyway. At midnight, the communication device beeped again. Dr. Patel's face appeared, but he looked different, scared. Sarah, they're coming. Down, he said. 3 ships. They'll be here in an hour. Sarah looked at Emma, still sleeping. She kissed her daughter's forehead and whispered, I love you, baby. Then she went to get her weapon. The 3 alien ships landed in the main field where the colonists held their harvest festivals. The ships were black and covered with weapon ports. Sarah counted at least 50 guns on each ship. 200 colonists stood in the field, holding white flags and signs that said peace in several languages. They had decided to meet the aliens with symbols of friendship. The aliens that came out of the ships were tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. They wore armor and carried weapons that glowed with blue light. Their leader walked forward and looked at the humans with eyes like black stones. Mayor Williams stepped forward with his hands raised, showing he had no weapons. Welcome to Terra Verde, he said. We want to talk. We want peace. The alien leader made a noise that might have been laughter. Peace is for the strong, it said in its clicking voice. You are weak. Weak species serve strong species. This is natural law. We're not weak, Mayor Williams said. We're choosing peace. There's a difference. No difference, the alien said. Weakness is weakness. It raised its glowing weapon and shot Mayor Williams. The mayor fell down and did not move again. Emma screamed. Sarah had brought her daughter because everyone thought this would be a peaceful meeting. Everyone had been wrong. Choose your tribute now, the alien leader said to the shocked crowd, or more will die. Sarah felt something break inside her chest. These creatures had come to her peaceful world and killed a good man who only wanted to talk. They had made her daughter scream in fear. We'll give you food, Dr. Patel said quickly. We have grain, fruit, vegetables. Please don't hurt anyone else. Food is not enough, the alien said. We need workers, young, strong workers. Its black eyes looked at the crowd and stopped on Emma. The small ones learn quickly. They make good servants. Sarah moved before she even thought about it. She stepped between the alien and her daughter, her hand moving to the weapon under her shirt. No, she said. The alien tilted its head. You object? She's my daughter. You can't have her. I can take whatever I want, the alien said. You are weak. Your people are weak. Your peace is weakness. Sarah looked around at her neighbors. These were good people who had chosen a better way to live. They grew food, made art, raised children, and solved problems by talking. They have built something beautiful on Terra, Verd. And now these creatures wanted to take it all away. They wanted to take Emma. Sarah pulled out her weapon and shot the alien leader in the chest. It fell backward, surprise in its black eyes. You're right about one thing, Sarah said as alarms started wailing from the alien ships. Peace is a choice. And I'm choosing not to be peaceful anymore. The other aliens started shooting. Sarah grabbed Emma and ran, along with everyone else. Behind them, the alien ships began firing at the town. As they reached the safety of the forest, Sarah looked back and saw her house burning. The apple trees where Emma had played that morning were now black and smoking. Admiral Marcus Rodriguez was drinking his morning coffee when the emergency alarm sounded throughout Earth Defense Command. The high-pitched wail meant only one thing. Human colonies were under attack. Marcus had been expecting this call for 20 years, not this exact call, but something like it. Humanity had been peaceful for too long. They had spread across the galaxy building farms and art colonies and research stations, but they had forgotten that the universe was not always friendly. He set down his coffee and walked quickly to the command center. The main screen showed a map of human space with red dots blinking where colonies were located. One dot was flashing bright red, Terra Verd. Report, Marcus said to his aide, Lieutenant Morrison. Sir, we received a distress signal from Terra Verd 40 minutes ago. The transmission is difficult to watch. Morrison played the recording on the main screen. Marcus watched as Sarah Chun, a woman with dirt on her clothes and tears on her face, spoke directly to the camera. This is Captain Sarah Chun, former Earth Defense Force. Now a colonist on Terra Verd. Unknown aliens calling themselves the Hegemony attacked our world 6 hours ago. They demanded tribute and workers. When we tried to negotiate peacefully, they opened fire on civilians. The camera shook as explosions sounded in the background. They killed Mayor Williams during a peace meeting. They tried to take our children as slaves. We fought back, but we're just farmers and teachers. We need help. They're burning everything. Sarah held up a small device. I'm sending you all the information we gathered about their ships and weapons. But understand this, they think peace is weakness. They think humans are weak. They're wrong about that. The recording ended. The command center was silent except for the hum of computers. Marcus had known Sarah Chun during her military service. She had been one of the best tactical officers he had ever worked with. Smart, calm under pressure, and absolutely reliable. If Sarah said the situation was bad, it was very bad. Sir? Morrison asked. What are your orders? Marcus looked at the map again. Terra Verd was just one small dot among hundreds of human colonies. But it was the first time in 50 years that aliens had attacked humans without warning. The first time someone had mistaken human peace for weakness. Send a message to all fleet commanders, Marcus said. Operation Red Dawn is now active. Recall all ships to their home bases. Cancel all leaves. Begin immediate mobilization. Operation Red Dawn was the plan humanity hoped they would never need. It was the plan for total war. Morrison's eyes went wide. Sir, are you sure? Red Dawn will shut down civilian shipping, recall every military ship in space, and activate the reserves. It will cost billions of credits. Do it, Marcus said. And send a message to the colonial governors. Tell them what happened on Terra Verd. Tell them to prepare their defenses. Marcus walked to his office and opened a secure communication. Channel to Luna Base, where his old friend Admiral Chun Wei commanded the shipyards. Chun, it's Marcus. We need to talk. Admiral Chin's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired. She had been working on converting old military ships for civilian use, turning weapons into tools for mining and construction. I heard about Terra Verd, she said. How bad is it? Bad enough that I'm activating Red Dawn? Chun was quiet for a moment. Marcus, we've been at peace for 20 years. Half our ships are converted to civilian use. Our newest weapons are 50 years old. Most of our experienced officers are retired or dead. I know, Marcus said. How long to get our ships ready for war? 6 months minimum, maybe longer. We don't have 6 months. These hegemony aliens think we're weak. If we don't respond quickly, every alien empire in the galaxy will think the same thing. Shun nodded slowly. I understand, we'll do what we can. But Marcus, our people aren't ready for war. They've been living peaceful lives. Then we'll teach them to fight, Marcus said. Humans are good at learning. Over the next 3 days, messages poured in from across human space. Every colony had received the recording from Terra Verde. Every governor, every ship captain, every citizen had seen Sarah Chun's tears and heard her promise of war. The response surprised everyone, including Marcus. On New Shanghai, the colonial government converted their 3 passenger ships into troop transports in 2 days. On Kepler Station, the mining crews began modifying their industrial equipment into weapons. The artists on Haven Prime started making propaganda posters that showed humans standing strong against alien invaders, but the most surprising response came from the people Marcus had least expected to help Dr. Elizabeth. Santos had been one of Earth's most famous peace activists before retiring to the research colony on Alpha Station. She had spent 40 years arguing against military spending and promoting diplomatic solutions to conflicts. Marcus expected her to protest the war preparations. Instead, she sent a message that was broadcast to every human world. I have spent my life working for peace, she said, standing in front of her laboratory. I still believe peace is the best way for civilized beings to live together. But what happened on Terra Verde was not a failure of peace. It was the actions of creatures who believe that kindness is weakness, that mercy is stupidity. She held up a data pad. I am a scientist. I study alien cultures and behaviors. The hegemony species we encountered follows a simple rule: the strong take from the weak. They will keep taking from us until we prove we are not weak. Dr. Santos looked directly into the camera. I do not want war. But sometimes, to preserve peace for the future, we must fight in the present. I am converting my cultural research into military intelligence. Every bit of information we have about alien species is now available to our military. Her message ended, but others like it came from across human space. Teachers, artists, farmers, and scientists all offered their skills to the war effort. Humans who had never thought about violence began learning how to fight. Marcus received daily reports about the mobilization. The numbers were encouraging, but he knew numbers alone would not win against an enemy that had been preparing for war while humans had been planting gardens. On the 4th day, he received a personal message from Terra Verde. It was from Sarah Chun. Admiral Rodriguez, Sarah said. She was standing in what looked like a cave, with other colonists visible behind her. I know you remember me from the old days. I know you're probably wondering if we can really fight these aliens. She moved aside, and Marcus saw something that made him smile for the first time in days. The colonists had built weapons from farm equipment. They had created traps using mining explosives. They had organized themselves into military units despite having no military training. We've been watching the hegemony ships for 4 days now, Sarah continued. They're not as smart as they think they are. They follow the same patrol routes every day. They land in the same places. They think we're beaten, so they're not being careful. Sarah held up a device that Marcus recognized as a military scanner, probably from her old service days. We've learned how their shields work, how their weapons charge, how long their ships take to start up. We're going to hit them tonight. Not because we think we can win, but because we want them to know that humans don't give up. She paused, and Marcus could see the pain in her eyes. They killed my daughter yesterday, Admiral. Emma was trying to help an injured colonist when one of their patrols found us. She was 8 years old. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. He had met Emma during a ceremony years ago when he had given Sarah her discharge papers. She had been a bright, happy child who had given him a drawing of a spaceship. The hegemony thinks peace makes us weak, Sarah said. They think because we chose to be farmers instead of soldiers, we forgot how to fight. They're about to learn how wrong they are, the message ended. Marcus sat in his office thinking about Emma Chun and Mayor Williams and all the other civilians who had died because aliens had mistaken human kindness for weakness. He opened a communication channel to all fleet commanders. This is Admiral Rodriguez. Change of plans. We're not going to wait 6 months to respond. We're going to show the galaxy what happens when someone attacks our civilians. He looked at the star map showing human space. Soon, human ships would be moving through those systems, carrying war to the enemies who had brought war to them. Send a message to all ships, Marcus said. Tell them we're going to teach the hegemony the difference between choosing peace and being peaceful. And tell them we're going to do it in memory of an 8-year-old girl who died because aliens think kindness is weakness. Marcus walked to the window and looked out at Earth's blue sky. Somewhere out there, Sarah Chun was preparing to fight an impossible battle with farming tools and determination. Soon, she would have the support of every human ship in space. The hegemony had wanted to take human worlds. Instead, they were going to learn what happened when humans decided to take something back. The peaceful days were over. The war for human dignity was about to begin. And across human space, millions of people who had chosen to live quiet lives were remembering how to be dangerous. Commander Vector of the Hegemony Third Fleet was bored. Conquering primitive worlds was easy work, but it was not exciting. The humans on Kepler 442b had been sending surrender messages for 3 days, begging for mercy and offering tribute. It was exactly what Vector expected from a weak species. The mining world looked poor from orbit. Small settlements scattered across rocky ground with simple buildings and basic equipment. The humans here dug metals from the ground and shipped them to other worlds. They were workers, not warriors. Begin the landing, Vector ordered his ship captain. Send the usual demands. Food, metals, and half their population for labor service. Captain Zekron clicked his 4 arms together in acknowledgement. Commander, should we be careful? The reports from Terra Verde mentioned some resistance. Vector made the sound that his species used for laughter. Resistance? They killed 3 of our soldiers with farming equipment before we destroyed their settlement. That is not resistance. That is desperation. The hegemony ships landed near the largest human settlement. 2,000 hegemony soldiers marched out, wearing full battle armor and carrying plasma weapons. Their ships' guns pointed at the human buildings, ready to destroy everything if the humans tried to fight. The human leader came out to meet them. He was an old man with gray hair and work clothes covered in dirt. He walked slowly, like his back hurt, and he carried a white flag. I'm Governor Peterson, the old man said. We received your demands. We're ready to cooperate. Vector studied the human. The creature looked tired and defeated. Its eyes showed fear. This was how conquered species were supposed to behave. You will provide 10,000 tons of refined metals, Vector said. 5,000 units of food supplies. And 1,000 of your youngest, strongest workers. Governor Peterson's face went pale. 1,000 people? That's almost half our population. Our families... Your families are not my concern, Vector said. You have 2 hours to gather everything. Resistance will result in total elimination. The old human nodded sadly and walked back to his settlement. Vector watched him go. This was why the hegemony ruled 73 worlds. Inferior species always accepted their fate when faced with superior force, but something felt wrong. Vector had conquered many worlds, and usually the defeated species showed more emotion. They cried or begged or got angry. This human had just looked tired. Captain Zekron, Vector said. Send scouts to check the other settlements. Make sure they are not hiding anything. Yes, Commander. An hour later, the scouts reported back. All the human settlements were empty. Every building, every mine, every piece of equipment had been abandoned. The humans had left so quickly that meals were still sitting on tables. Where did they go? Vector asked. Unknown, Commander. There are no ships at the spaceport, no vehicles in the settlements. They must be hiding somewhere on the planet. Victor felt the first touch of worry. In 73 conquests he had never seen an entire population disappear. Where could they hide on a mining world with no forests or large cities? The answer came 2 hours later when Governor Peterson returned with a small group of humans. They carried bags of food and metal samples, but nowhere near the amounts Victor had demanded. "This is all we can give you," Peterson said. "The rest of our people have gone somewhere safe." "Safe?" Victor asked. "There is nowhere safe from the hegemony. We will find them and punish them for resistance." "Maybe," Peterson said, "but you'll have to catch them first." Victor was about to respond when explosions started happening around the landing site. Not big explosions, but small ones that damaged equipment and made his soldiers jump for cover. The humans were attacking with tiny bombs hidden in the ground. "Return." "Fire," Victor ordered. "Destroy their settlement." The hegemony weapons turned the human buildings into smoking ruins in minutes. But the explosions kept coming from different directions. Small bombs, sniper shots, and metal spikes fired from hidden launchers. The attacks were not strong enough to seriously hurt the hegemony soldiers, but they were constant and came from everywhere. "Commander," Captain Zekran reported, "we've lost 6 soldiers and 12 equipment units. The attacks are coming from the mining tunnels. The humans are using the underground passages to move around." Victor realized what had happened. The humans had not run away. They had gone underground into the mining tunnels they knew better than anyone. Now they were fighting a different kind of battle, one where the hegemony's superior weapons and numbers meant less. "Send soldiers into the tunnels," Victor ordered. "Root them out." "Commander, the tunnels are narrow and go deep underground. Our armor will not fit, and our sensors cannot work properly in there." But Victor had his orders from the hegemony high command. "Take the planet, crush all resistance. Show the galaxy that defying the hegemony led to death. The first group of soldiers that entered the tunnels never came back out. The second group found their bodies 3 hours later, killed by explosives and metal spikes shot from the dark. The third group made it deeper, but they got lost in the maze of passages and had to be rescued by search teams. By the end of the first day, Victor had lost 30 soldiers and had not captured a single human. "This is not how wars are supposed to work," Captain Zekran said. "They should fight us in open battle where we can use our superior weapons." "They are cowards," Victor replied, "hiding in holes like insects." But privately, Victor was starting to understand that the humans were not cowards. They were smart. They had turned their own planet into a weapon against the hegemony. On the second day, the humans began targeting the hegemony ships. Small groups would sneak out of the tunnels at night and plant explosives on landing gear or shoot at engine ports with modified mining equipment. The attacks never did serious damage, but they forced the hegemony to keep soldiers awake all night guarding the ships. On the third day, the humans poisoned the water supply that the hegemony had been using. 50 soldiers got sick, and Victor had to bring in water from the ships. On the fourth day, the humans started making noise. Loud, terrible noise that echoed through the tunnels and came from speakers hidden around the landing site. The noise never stopped, day or night. It made it impossible to sleep or think clearly. "Commander," Captain Zekran said, "the soldiers are getting tired and angry. This is not the easy conquest we were promised." Victor looked at the reports. In 4 days of fighting, the hegemony had taken control of exactly nothing. The humans still controlled the tunnels, the mining equipment, and most of the planet's surface. Worse, they were fighting in ways that the hegemony military manuals had never described. On the 5th day, something new happened. A human woman appeared at the edge of the landing site, carrying a white flag. She was young and dirty, with short black hair and calm eyes. "I want to talk to your commander," she called out. Victor came out to meet her, curious about what the humans wanted to say. "I am Commander Victor of the Hegemony Third Fleet. Are you ready to surrender?" The woman smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "I am Captain Lisa Wong, formerly of the Earth Defense Force. I'm here to give you a choice. You are in no position to give choices to the hegemony. Actually, I am, Captain Wong said. See, you made a mistake when you came here. You thought this was a mining world with weak civilians. But half the people on Kepler 442b are retired military. We came here to live quiet lives, but we remember how to fight. She pointed to the hills around the landing site. Right now, you have about 800 soldiers. We have about 1,500 people in these tunnels, and most of us know more about weapons and tactics than your average hegemony trooper. Victor looked around. He could not see any humans, but that meant nothing. They had been invisible for 5 days. What choice are you offering? He asked. Leave now, and we'll let you go, Captain Wong said. Stay here, and we'll teach you why humans don't fight fair when someone threatens our families. The hegemony does not retreat from inferior species. Captain Wong's smile got wider. Inferior? Commander, in 5 days, we've killed 40 of your soldiers, and you haven't captured a single one of us. We've damaged your ships, poisoned your water, and kept your troops awake for 4 nights straight, and we're just getting started. She held up a small device. This planet has 300 miles of mining tunnels. We've had time to set up surprises in all of them. We can make this easy for you, or we can make it very, very hard. Victor felt anger rise in his chest. You cannot defeat the hegemony with tricks and hiding. Maybe not, Captain Wong said. But we can make conquering this world cost you more than it's worth. Every planet you attack will be the same. Every human world will fight like this. Is that really what the hegemony wants? She started walking back toward the hills. You have until tomorrow to decide, Commander. Leave, or find out what happens when you try to take something from people who have nothing left to lose. That night, Victor sat in his command ship and thought about Captain Wong's words. The hegemony had rules for conquest. Land overwhelming force, demand surrender, punish resistance with death. It had worked on 73 worlds, but the humans were not following the rules. They were fighting a different kind of war, one where the hegemony's advantages meant nothing. Captain Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the human warship, Retribution, and watched the enemy fleet through the viewing screen. 6 hegemony ships hung in space near the gas giant Kronos, refueling and resting after their attack on the mining station there. The aliens thought they were safe. They had won another easy victory, destroyed another human settlement, and taken what they wanted. Now they were acting like the war was already over. They were wrong. Weapons status? Sarah asked her tactical officer. All missile tubes loaded, Lieutenant Park replied. Railguns charged, electronic warfare systems ready. Sarah looked around the bridge of her ship. Every person there was a volunteer. Engineers who had left their families, teachers who had never seen combat, farmers who had learned to operate weapon systems. All of them united by one simple fact. The hegemony had made the mistake of thinking human peace meant human weakness. It had been 6 months since the attack on Terra Verde. 6 months since Sarah's daughter Emma had died in alien weapons fire. 6 months since humanity had stopped being peaceful and started being something much more dangerous. The Retribution was not alone. Spread across this star system were 12 other human ships, all waiting for Sarah's signal. They were smaller than the hegemony vessels, older, and carried fewer weapons. But they had advantages the aliens did not understand. Communications, open a channel to the fleet, Sarah ordered. Channel open, Captain. Sarah looked at the small screen that showed the faces of the other human ship captains. Captain Martinez on the Vengeance, Captain Kim on the Justice, Captain O'Brien on the Payback. All of them had lost someone to the hegemony. All of them were here for the same reason. Remember the plan, Sarah said to them. We hit them hard and fast, then we disappear. This is not about winning a big battle. This is about teaching them that attacking humans has a price. The other captains nodded. They had practiced this attack for weeks, studying every detail of how hegemony ships worked, how their crews fought, how their commanders thought. Wolfpack Alpha, begin your approach, Sarah ordered. 4 human ships started moving toward the enemy fleet from the left side. They moved slowly and carefully, using the gas giant's rings to hide their approach. The hegemony sensors were good, but they were designed to look for large fleets and massive attacks, not small groups of ships sneaking through space debris. Wolfpack Beta moved to position. 4 more ships began approaching from the right side, staying hidden behind one of the gas giant's moons. The hegemony fleet still showed no signs of detecting them. Sarah's group, Wolfpack Gamma, waited in the shadow of an asteroid field. They would be the last to attack, hitting the hegemony ships when they were already confused and damaged. All ships, remember what we learned about their tactics, Sarah said over the communication system. Hegemony commanders like to keep their ships in tight formations. They think it shows strength and discipline. But tight formations make easy targets for missiles. Sarah had studied every battle report, every piece of information that human survivors had gathered about hegemony forces. The aliens were good at conquering planets and intimidating civilian populations, but they had fought the same way for hundreds of years. They had never faced an enemy that studied them, learned from them, and adapted new tactics. Wolfpack Alpha in position, Captain Martinez reported. Wolfpack Beta ready, Captain Kim added. Sarah looked at the tactical display one more time. The hegemony ships were arranged in a perfect triangle formation, just like their military manuals said they should be. Their weapons were powered down, their shields at minimum strength. They were not expecting trouble. All ships begin attack. Show them what humans do to bullies. Wolfpack Alpha struck first. 4 human ships came out of the gas giant's rings like sharks rising from deep water. Their first missile salvo hit the hegemony fleet before the aliens even knew they were under attack. The lead hegemony ship, a heavy cruiser, took 16 missiles to its engine section. The explosions lit up space like a small sun, and the alien ship began spinning out of control. Enemy shields rising, Lieutenant Park reported. They're trying to form defensive positions, but the human attack had been planned too well. As the hegemony ships turned to face Wolfpack Alpha, Wolfpack Beta hit them from the opposite direction. More missiles, more explosions, more alien ships taking damage. Wolfpack Gamma move in. Sarah ordered the Retribution and her 4 companion. Ships burst out of the asteroid field at full speed. Sarah's group targeted the hegemony command ship, a massive dreadnought that was trying to coordinate the alien defense. Fire everything, Sarah commanded. The human ships unleashed every weapon they had. Missiles, railgun rounds, and energy beams all struck the hegemony dreadnought at the same time. The alien ship's shields flared and collapsed under the concentrated fire. Direct hit on their bridge. Lieutenant Park shouted, "Their command ship is heavily damaged." But Sarah was not finished. This was not just about destroying ships. This was about sending a message. Communications, jam their emergency frequencies, she ordered. Make sure they cannot call for help. Jamming active, Captain. Electronic warfare, start broadcasting on all hegemony frequencies. Ready to broadcast, Captain. Sarah had prepared this message carefully. She wanted every hegemony ship in the area to hear it, to understand what was happening and why. "Attention hegemony fleet," Sarah said, her voice carrying across space to every alien ship. "This is Captain Sarah Chun of the Human Defense Force. You have attacked our peaceful colonies. You have killed our civilians. You have taken our children." On the viewing screen, Sarah could see the remaining hegemony ships trying to retreat, but the human ships followed them, continuing their attack. "You made a mistake," Sarah continued. "You thought peace made us weak. You thought mercy made us soft. You thought, because we chose to build gardens instead of weapons, we had forgotten how to fight." Another hegemony ship exploded under concentrated missile fire from Wolfpack Beta. "You were wrong. Humans do not fight because we love war. We fight because we love peace. And when someone threatens our peace, we become very good at war very quickly." The remaining alien ships were trying to jump to faster-than-light speed. But the human electronic warfare systems were disrupting their engines. They were trapped, watching their fleet die around them. "We studied you," Sarah said. "We learned how you think, how you fight, how you make mistakes. Every battle you have won against us has taught us something new. Every colony you have attacked has made us smarter. Only 2 hegemony ships were still fighting now. The others were destroyed or too damaged to continue. Sarah could have finished them off easily, but that was not the point of this attack. We are going to let 2 of your ships escape, she announced. They will carry a message back to your leaders. The message is simple: leave human space alone or we will hunt down every hegemony ship in the galaxy, Sarah signaled to her fleet. The human ships stopped their attack and began to withdraw. They had destroyed 4 hegemony vessels and crippled 2 others in less than 20 minutes. More importantly, they had done it without losing a single human ship. This is what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness, Sarah said in her final broadcast to the surviving alien ships. Remember this moment. Remember what humans can do when we stop being peaceful. The human fleet disappeared into faster-than-light speed, leaving the damaged hegemony ships alone in the empty system. Later, as the Retribution traveled through hyperspace toward their next target, Sarah sat in her captain's chair and thought about Emma. Her daughter would never see the human victory, would never know that her death had been avenged. But maybe other children would be safe because of what happened today. Captain, Lieutenant Park said, we're receiving reports from other human fleets. Captain Rodriguez's group hit a hegemony supply convoy near Vega. Captain Thompson's ships destroyed an alien patrol near Volf 359. All successful attacks, no human losses. Sarah nodded. The plan was working. Instead of fighting large battles, where the hegemony's superior numbers would matter, human ships were attacking in small groups, hitting targets quickly and disappearing before the aliens could respond. Any word from Admiral Rodriguez? Sarah asked. Yes, Captain. He says the Hegemony High Command is recalling ships from 3 sectors to protect their supply lines. They're starting to pull back from some of the worlds they conquered. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. For the first time since Terra Verde, the aliens were retreating instead of advancing. They were learning that conquering human worlds came with a price. Set course for the Rigel system, Sarah ordered. Intelligence reports a hegemony fleet there. Let's go remind them that humans have long memories and longer reach. As the Retribution raced through space toward its next battle, Sarah thought about all the human ships now hunting hegemony fleets across the galaxy. Teachers and farmers and engineers who had become warriors overnight. People who had never wanted to fight, now fighting better than species that had been warriors for centuries. The hegemony had wanted easy conquest. Instead, they had awakened something they did not understand, humans who had chosen peace, but who could choose war when necessary. And when humans chose war, they were very, very good at it. Supreme Commander Thekvar of the Hegemony stared at the holographic display showing his empire's territory. Red markers indicated lost fleets, yellow markers showed damaged bases. Blue markers represented worlds that had stopped sending tribute. Because they were under human attack. In 1 year, the humans had destroyed over 200 hegemony ships and captured 43 alien worlds. What had started as an easy conquest of weak farmers had become the worst military disaster in hegemony history. How many ships do we have left? Thekvar asked his aide. Approximately 800 combat vessels, Supreme Commander. But morale is very low. Many crews are requesting transfers to non-combat duties. Thekvar clicked his forearms in frustration. The hegemony had started this war with over 1,500 ships and complete confidence in their superiority. Now, they were losing ground every day to an enemy they had dismissed as inferior. What about our home fleet? The ships defending our core worlds? Still intact, Supreme Commander. 200 of our best ships protecting our most important planets. Thekvar studied the tactical reports. The humans fought unlike any enemy the hegemony had ever faced. Instead of trying to hold territory or fight for glory, they simply destroyed everything the hegemony valued. Supply ships, communication stations, isolated bases, all targeted and eliminated with surgical precision. Sir, his aide said nervously, there's another problem? Several client species are questioning our ability to protect them. The Zethrans have stopped paying tribute. The Morgani are requesting permission to negotiate separately with the humans. This was what Thekvar had feared most. The hegemony ruled 73 worlds not through love or loyalty, but through fear. If that fear disappeared, the entire empire would collapse. Send a message to the human leadership, Dekvar ordered. Offer to discuss terms. Sir, the hegemony has never negotiated with inferior species. The hegemony has never lost a war before either, Dekvar replied grimly, 2 days later. Admiral Marcus Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship Terra's Promise. The massive dreadnought was the largest ship in the human fleet, built in the orbital shipyards above Earth specifically for this moment. Around it, the entire human battle fleet waited in formation, over 300 ships crewed by people who had learned to fight because someone had threatened their families. Admiral, his communications officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from the hegemony homeworld. Put it on screen. The image of Supreme Commander Dekvar appeared on the main display. The alien leader looked tired and defeated, very different from the confident conqueror who had started this war. Admiral Rodriguez, Dekvar said, I wish to discuss ending this conflict. Marcus looked at the alien who had ordered the attack. On Terra Verde, who had killed Emma-chan and thousands of other innocent humans. Part of him wanted to refuse, to continue the war until every hegemony ship was destroyed, but Marcus was a soldier, not a killer. He understood the difference between justice and revenge. I'm listening, Marcus said. The hegemony is prepared to withdraw from all human territory and provide reparations for damages caused during the conflict. That's a start, Marcus replied, but it's not enough. Dekvar's alien features showed surprise. What more do you want? We are offering complete withdrawal and payment for damages. Marcus activated another screen, showing images from the worlds the hegemony had conquered. Destroyed cities, enslaved populations, families torn apart by alien greed. You didn't just attack humans, Marcus said. You attacked 73 different species. You turned entire civilizations into slaves. Ending this war is not just about humans getting justice. It's about making sure you never do this to anyone else. You cannot dictate terms to the hegemony, Dekvar said, but his voice lacked conviction. Marcus smiled coldly. Commander, in the past year, humans have destroyed 60% of your military forces while losing less than 5% of ours. We've liberated 43 worlds and turned your client species against you. We can absolutely dictate terms. He leaned forward in his chair. Here are our conditions. First, the hegemony military will be disbanded. Second, all enslaved populations will be freed and returned to their homeworlds. Third, the hegemony government will be replaced by a council representing all species in your former empire. Impossible, Dekvar said. You are asking us to destroy ourselves. No, Marcus replied. We're asking you to become something better. You can learn to live peacefully with other species, or you can watch us hunt down every last ship in your fleet. Your choice. The transmission ended. Marcus turned to his tactical officer. Status of the home fleet? All ships ready, Admiral. Captain Chun's Volfpacks are in position around the hegemony home system. If they refuse our terms, we can begin the final assault in 6 hours. Marcus nodded. He hoped the aliens would choose surrender over destruction, but humans had learned not to count on alien wisdom. 3 hours later, Sarah Cheung received a priority message on the bridge of the Retribution. Her ship was hidden in the asteroid field at the edge of the hegemony home system, along with 50 other human vessels. They were waiting for the order to attack the most heavily defended worlds in alien space. Captain, her communications officer sighed, Admiral Rodriguez is ordering all ships to hold position. The hegemony has accepted our terms? Sarah felt a strange mix of relief and disappointment. Part of her had wanted to continue the fight, to make the aliens pay completely for every human life they had taken. But the war was ending, and that was what really mattered. Signal the fleet, Sarah ordered. Stand down from combat alert. Prepare for occupation duties. Over the next 6 months, the hegemony empire was systematically dismantled. Human ships escorted transport vessels as millions of enslaved beings were returned to their homeworlds. Alien weapons were collected and destroyed. The former hegemony leadership was put on trial for crimes against sentient beings, Sarah found herself stationed on the former hegemony capital world, helping to establish the new multi-species council. It was strange work for someone who had been a farmer just 2 years earlier, but humans had learned to adapt to many new roles. One day, while walking through the alien city, Sarah encountered a group of young beings from different species playing together in a park. They were children of former slaves, now free to play and learn instead of working in alien mines or factories. One of them, a small creature with blue fur and large eyes, approached Sarah. "Are you one of the humans?" it asked in simple Galactic. "Standard, yes," Sarah said, kneeling down to the child's level. "My mama says humans fought the bad aliens so we could be free." "Is that true?" Sarah thought about Emma, about Mayor Williams, about all the people who had died on Terra Verde. She thought about the year of war that had followed, the battles and the losses and the gradual victory over an empire that had seemed unstoppable. "Yes," she said finally. "We fought so that children like you could be safe." "Thank you," the child said, then ran back to its friends. Sarah stood up and looked around the park. Beings from dozens of different species were living and working together peacefully. Former enemies were learning to cooperate. Children who had been slaves were now free to dream about their futures. It was not the peace that Terra Verde had known. That simple, quiet peace was gone forever, destroyed by aliens who had mistaken kindness for weakness. But this was a better peace, one built on justice instead of ignorance, protected by strength instead of hope. That evening, Sarah received a message from Earth. Admiral Rodriguez was offering her a permanent position in the new Galactic Defense Force, an organization dedicated to protecting peaceful species from future aggressors. Sarah accepted immediately. She had learned that peace was not something that happened naturally. It was something that had to be built, maintained, and sometimes fought for by people willing to pay the price. 6 months later, Sarah stood in the memorial garden that had been built on the site of Terra Verde's first settlement. The garden was beautiful, with flowers and trees from dozens of different worlds growing together in harmony. At the center stood a simple stone marker with the names of everyone who had died in the first alien attack. Emma's name was near the top of the list. "We did it, sweetheart," Sarah said quietly to the memorial stone. "We made sure it won't happen to other children." As she turned to leave, Sarah saw a familiar figure approaching through the garden paths. Admiral Rodriguez looked older than when the war had started, but there was peace in his eyes that had not been there before. "How are you doing, Captain?" he asked. "Better," Sarah said. "The nightmares are getting less frequent. And the work helps, knowing that we're preventing future wars. It makes Emma's death mean something," Marcus nodded. "The galaxy is safer because of what we did. Not just because we won, but because of how we won. We showed that strength doesn't have to mean cruelty, that victory doesn't require becoming the same kind of monsters we fought against." They walked together through the memorial garden, two former warriors who had learned the hardest lesson of all. Sometimes the only way to preserve peace is to be better at war than those who would destroy it. Above them, human ships patrolled the space lanes, protecting the trade routes and colonies of 100 different species. The galaxy had